All right, so now let's talk a little bit about Mehdi Hassan talked to Jon Stewart on Jon Stewart's podcast, and there was this moment here that was singled out by the Draft Jon Stewart 2028 Twitter account. It's at Stewart 2028 _ 2028, and I want to show you this. He says, Jon Stewart hints at running for president as Mehdi pleads to him, quote, Democrats just need to find the right reality host to get in there. And so that's his interpretation of it. I watched the clip. I'm curious what your reaction is if you think the door is left open here. So let's take a look and then we'll react.
That idea of fetishizing the little guy and we the people, when in fact the opposite has occurred and the Supreme Court has empowered really this kind of much more authoritative processing of all those avenues. And in some respects, then it comes down to, is the answer the Democratic Party's ripe for a takeover? And they just need to find the right reality host that can get in there and start lining up all of those interests.
Please, no reality host, I beg of you.
Jeff Probst, maybe Jeff Probst, Survivor.
Unless John, you're thinking of throwing your hat in the ring, which I know. I know many people want you to throw your hat in the ring. If that's what you're suggesting, we can talk about that. But please, otherwise, no TV show hosts.
None of those things.
But look, I think New York in November will be a very, very interesting result.
So that was my third time watching it. The first two times I didn't think much of it. Now this is the third time, and he does it when it's brought up to his face. Like, what about you? There is a little bit of like a twinkle in his eye, like a you know what I'm saying?
Although that could also just be, like, it's flattering to have a bunch of people who are like, you should run for president.
Right. But he also didn't shut it down. He didn't say, I have no interest in that whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
He just let it hang.
He let it hang.
And Mehdi normally, like, I'm not blaming him, whatever. He should have let it hang so we could get a reaction from Jon. When I watched the interview the first time, first of all, when Jon brings up, like, maybe they need to get in the right reality show host.
That's a sign, too, of, like, hey, I see that celebrities now are the plate. Like, that's what it is. Like, we now have the celebrification of politics.
The minute he said that, I was like, oh, Mehdi needs to be like, what about you, right? And so I wish there'd been a moment to just be able to gauge his reaction, because you can't really, I don't know, I don't take much from it, but I do think it's the fact that he doesn't completely shut it down, or he just sort of like chuckles and moves on. Maybe he hasn't completely shut the door.
And the thing is, like, very few people are just so uniquely positioned to do it. And I think I genuinely think he's one of them.
Here's the thing with him is that, well, he's smart enough. He says isn't the Democratic Party ripe for a takeover? And he's in touch enough to realize that it certainly is. You know, the leadership of the Democratic Party has just lost all legitimacy. I mean, they have destroyed their own legitimacy, truly. The media institutions, you see it's Zoran's world now. Like, we're living in the post-Zoran era where people kind of see, oh, there's really a desire for something different and for some truth-telling with regard to Israel and Palestine. And he's savvy enough to recognize that. I think he's savvy enough to recognize the appeal of celebrity. I mean, he brings it up there himself. And who else fits the bill? There really aren't. It's hard to come up with any other name that really fits the bill the way he does. Yeah, and he's got to know that.
And he's got a track record, too, of, like, helping that 9/11 bill get passed to get health care to the first responders. Like, he's dealt with these assholes on Capitol Hill. He understands how much of a disgusting place it is. He sees how Trump broke politics by basically being the most obnoxious he could possibly be, using humor, right, doubling down. And these are all qualities that, like, he's sharpened over the years with The Daily Show.
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly his thing. Like, if you imagine him in a debate, the other people have no chance.
Yeah, he'd be fantastic.
If you're any normal politician is going to be, coached. They're going to have their talking points, but it's going to come across as like, ugh. You know what I'm saying? Whereas here's a guy who talks for a living. And look, it's just a fact. If you talk for a living, you're going to have an edge over the politicians who are not in front of a camera nearly as much. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the other thing that I think he would be savvy enough to realize is that humor is such a powerful weapon. Like,
humor is everything.
I'm sure he understands that the fact that Trump is fucking funny is, like, maybe his most powerful secret weapon. And, and I think he probably realizes that and, understands that obviously he has that to bring to the table. Listen, if you want to do the, like, he's thinking about it and he's preparing for it. Even the fact that he decided to come back to The Daily Show one day a week really put himself back in the center of the national conversation in a way that he hadn't been previously. So maybe that's an indication. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the belief that some people would need to come to him and make the case and like almost beg him.
Yeah,
because I don't think he wants to do it.
Yeah,
but I do think, you know, if the right pressure is applied with people that he trusts, who tell him like, "Hey, man, we really need this," then I think there's a chance.
I mean, he went from obviously Daily Show, which was really a relentless grind. You know, putting out that show every day, I think, is genuinely brutal.
It was 4 days a week, though.
I mean, but still, it's to come up with that material and be funny night after night. It seems very difficult to me. In any case, he steps all the way back from that. Then, you know, a few years back, he starts doing his Apple show. Then that, you know, I don't know if it gets canceled or he leaves or whatever. And then he decides to do the weekly podcast and come back into The Daily Show. I mean, and over the course of that time, he was doing activist work, as you point out. But it does sort of feel like he's building back up his centrality to the national conversation. And, you know, maybe that's just all that he wants. Or maybe he's open to being pushed to take on the whole thing. And
he has that effect, too, where he says some shit and everybody cares. Everybody's like, what'd he say? Like, he doesn't have that thing with most politicians where, like, they try to say some shit and everybody's like, shut the fuck. And they just, like, go away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Don't write an article on it. Don't put it in front of my face. He says some shit and everybody's like, oh, what'd he say?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the conversation he had recently with Peter Beinart's a good example of that, because Peter Beinart is doing all kinds of media appearances. He's on CNN all the time. I think he's probably a CNN contributor. And then, and I think he's a very important voice, by the way. And then Jon Stewart has him on. And they're saying a lot of the same things that many other people are saying. But because it's Jon Stewart, everyone's like, oh, let's take a listen. Like, oh, this was an important moment. The two of them discussing this openly in the way that they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I covered it.
Yeah.
Hassan covered it. A bunch of people covered it.
I don't even remember if I covered it.
Yeah.
I definitely watched it.
But anyway,
I think I did.
He didn't say no, and that there's something there. So, you know, I like the idea of a movement to draft Jon Stewart where he has to respond to it. I'd love for us to reach out to him and be like, hey, we want to convince you to run for president. Come on our podcast.
Yeah, completely.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it out in the open.
Yeah,
you tell us why you don't want to run, and we'll tell you why you need to fucking run. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Right? That might be the way to go.
The world needs him. Yeah, I mean, there's just, I do feel like an outsider, like we really could use an outsider. I think that would be really important. And you need someone who has, like, the rhetorical gifts are so important and so central. And someone who truly kind of understands the texture of the moment. And I do think that he gets that.
Hey guys, we had an awesome conversation with Jennifer Welch of the I've Had It podcast. She's doing real great work over there, and we really enjoyed it. So definitely sign up below on Substack. You don't want to miss it. It was an awesome conversation.